0 point, but it's one that works perfectly well. Everyone's been using it for ages and everyone knows exactly what it means. And if you change to different letters, then suddenly, as apparently in school textbooks now, they've started using BCE and CE. So now when children come across AD and BC, they're going to start getting confused, and all the old textbooks are going to start going out of date for no good reason. Now, I've come up with an alternative, which I think is superior, which I shall present to you now. Instead of changing the letters, what we do is we simply change what the existing letters, BC and AD, stand for. This way, everyone can just carry on using the same letters, everyone will know what everyone else means, no one will have any even conceivable excuse for being offended, and you won't have to change any of the old textbooks. Brilliant! It's win-win-win all round. Although it isn't quite, as I'll explain in a moment. Anyway, think of it. The year 99 BC is before the year 98 BC. So you're counting backwards as you approach 0 from the past. So the chronology is backwards. So that's backwards chronology, which is BC. Okay, now after the year 0, then you have ascending, advancing dates, AD, you see, because the year 2 is after the year 1, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, in ascending order. So we have backwards chronology and ascending dates. Excellent, BC and AD. So now that's what I mean. If you're someone who thinks that someone somewhere might somehow be offended or confused by my saying AD, now you don't have to be, because you can say, ascending dates, I know exactly what he means. And we're all using the same 0 point anyway, so there's no change there. It's brilliant. Well, perhaps I shouldn't say that, given that it was my idea, but it, I suspect, won't work, because it doesn't actually tick any of the boxes required of a politically correct solution to a problem. Not that there was a problem in the first place. You see, it doesn't require anyone to change their behaviour. That's annoying. You see, if you're a politically correct person, you're going to get a kick, a power trip out of forcing other people to change their behaviour. But this solution means that no one has to change behaviour. And so then how would you know that you've exerted power over them? So you don't get the power trip. So that's one problem for politically correct people. Another problem is that you don't get to be outraged, because when some dinosaur says AD, you won't actually know whether he means advancing dates or ascending dates or Anno Domini. So you won't know whether to be outraged or not. So if you fly off the handle into a frothing rage, it might seem to be a bit unreasonable. And so you won't get the joy of being outraged by anything. So that's no good. That's another major box that's not ticked. And you won't know that if anyone's being outrageous or offensive. Isn't it terrible not knowing whether to be offended or not? And again, that's no good for a politically correct person.
I'll look back at that, but I don't think that's true.
Is that you don't get to police the system. You see, if you hear someone say AD and you go, I think you mean CE, you won't be able to correct them and demonstrate by this your social superiority. So you won't be able to police the system. There'll be no system that even needs policing. No social superiority, no moral high ground you can grab. It's just for the politically correct person, it's a lose-lose-lose situation. But for everybody else, I think it's a win. The term January has never offended me. Does it offend you that the month January is named after the Roman god Janus? Or January, February, March, April, May, they're all named after Roman gods. So is June, of course, after Juno. And September, October, November, December, which means 7, 8, 9, 10, they are actually the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th months. So their names don't even make sense anymore. But there's an interesting story to that, because August and July are named after Julius and Augustus Caesar. And of course, they shunted everything along a bit in the calendar when they had their months created for them. And that's also why they both have 31 days. There's a lot of interesting historical stuff about the Roman calendar, which we still use today. And it's totally non-offensive. It's mildly interested if you're into that sort of thing. But is anyone offended? Christians have happily been using January for the first month of the year, Janus, the god of new beginnings, for millennia, and it doesn't seem to have been a problem. They even call the time when Christ got crucified Easter, which is an old Saxon goddess, and even that didn't seem to bother them for millennia. So, well, for a millennium and a half. So You know what? It's a non-problem. But I have a solution, which I don't think anyone's going to use, because the people who weren't offended in the first place won't have to bother, and the politically correct people who want the new solution won't be satisfied by it. Hi-ho. I go to international dance camps and I meet people there from all around the world, and one topic that often comes up is those wacky, silly, stupid British people who insist on still driving on the left. Why do they hold up? When are they going to see sense and drive on the right side of the road? And I point out that in fact they drive on the wrong side of the road, but they don't believe me. I'm just a British person being silly. There are a number of reasons I might be annoyed about this. One is that driving on the right is an Inquisition. In the Napoleonic Revolution spread through conquest this idea of driving on the right-hand side of the road, not because it was better in any way, but because it was simply a sign of conquest, of having